So today we're going to talk about the Isshin-Ryu Punch and the body mechanics involved in the Isshin-Ryu Punch. In the last several years, Master Kichiro Shimabuku and myself have been discussing some things we're seeing popping up in Isshin-Ryu that we want to correct and get people more on the correct page of how to actually do the Isshin-Ryu Punch. Okay? So, when we're practicing the Isshin-Ryu Punch, especially in the beginning, the hand's on the hip and the punch comes directly out. The elbow has to stay in line with the wrist throughout the whole length of the punch. I'm seeing many people punching like this, where they bring the elbow out and bring this in, and they think this is creating some type of whipping effect, and it makes the punch stronger, when in effect it makes the punch substantially weaker. So when the punch comes, the inside of your arm has to stay close to the body, and the elbow has to be pointed down and directly lined up, knuckles, elbow to shoulder. If you're finishing and your arm is like this, or your arm is in this position at any point throughout the punch, your power will leak out the elbow. So it may feel very good when you punch a heavy bag or hit a makiwara, but when you hit a person in a real situation, your punch is not going to have the desired effect, which is to put the opponent down. So the elbow has to be pointed down. The knuckles have to be in line with the forearm. Okay? So we don't want this where the wrist is bent. So from the side, we want this to be like this. The punch has to go fully out and fully extend. Okay? Master Shimabuku and myself have discussed this. We see many people in Isshin-Ryu doing this as an Isshin-Ryu punch. Totally incorrect. The punch has to go out. If you watch any boxer, any other martial art, the punches go out. They're not these short punches. Now, when you focus your punch, your knuckles should be directly on a line across the center of your chest, directly between the nipples on a man. That's your focus point when you punch. So you're not focusing to the solar plexus, because then you're punching down. When we punch and practice our punch, whether it be in the basics or in kata, we want to practice perfect body mechanics. We want the alignment to be correct. The alignment has to be, it has to be a line going from here, straight through the body, down to the rear heel. So when the alignment is correct, there's no give in your body, all the power goes into the opponent. Practicing these short punches, you're not developing your punch correctly. Later on, as you become more proficient, you should be able to generate power from close distances. But if you're only punching this way or this way, very short and tight, in your kata, you will not develop that ability. So the punch has to be extended when it goes out. So many in Isshin-Ryu say that the Isshin-Ryu Punch is a snap punch. There is no such thing as a snap punch. The Isshin-Ryu Punch goes out, the hip is the engine that drives the punch. So the hip is the engine, but this line here doesn't change. So I don't lean, I don't overly twist, I don't load up and lunge. There's a line through the body. As the punch comes out, the hip fires the punch. When the hip retracts, the arm naturally comes back. This is not correct. If you're throwing a punch and pulling it back yourself, no good. Here's the way to think of it. If I'm driving a car and I'm approaching a stop sign, I don't get even with the stop sign and slam on the brakes and hope the car stops. I have to begin this press on the brakes to slow the momentum of the car so the car stops. If you are mechanically yourself pulling the punch back, you are doing the same thing. So what you're doing is you're slowing your punch down as it goes out, and then you're pulling it back, therefore not driving the power all the way into the opponent. So the punch should look like this. It goes out and the hip drives it. Not not this. Okay? And it doesn't matter if we're punching from here. It's the same thing. It goes out, goes out, goes out, comes back. Not, I pull it back myself. You have to begin to slow the punch down before you pull back. You want the power to go in and through, so it's a natural retraction that occurs because of the hip. Master Shimabuku and myself have noticed over the last several Isshin-Ryu tournaments that specifically in his father's kata, Sun Tzu kata, we're seeing many people punching like this. So a direct quote from Master Shimabuku on seeing people do this is, who would punch someone like that in a fight? If you were in a fight, how are you throwing a punch like that at someone? And I've raised this question with several Isshin-Ryu sensei, and the answer I get is, well, it's because you're blocking as you're drawing in. This is nonsense. So in Sun Tzu, there's two ways you can practice. So for beginners, the way you practice is, you come out in your kamae, you bring the hand back to the hip, the punch goes out, comes back. So from here, here, out and back. I step, switch, out and back. Step, switch, out and back. There is none of this, okay? The other way you can practice, as you become more senior and your ability goes up, is you don't retract the hands. So you come out, punch. Step, punch. Step, punch. So again, you see this action. I'm not just pulling the punch back, okay? Driving in, hip pulls it back. So this is something very important to correct. If you're practicing Sun Tzu like this, it's 100% incorrect. This is from the master, and you will find no video of Tatsuo Shimabuku practicing Sun Tzu kata like that. You will find no student of Tatsuo Shimabuku sensei practicing Sun Tzu kata like that. So if you're doing that, it's wrong. I hope you've enjoyed this presentation of how to properly punch in Isshin-Ryu Karate. My plans right now for the future are to continue these video presentations. One will be forthcoming on the Isshin-Ryu basics, and I plan on doing new ones of how to practice and do each one of the kata and showing the different levels, so not just the white belt way of doing the kata, but as your progression goes up, how you're able to elevate your kata performance. Right now, what we're seeing is many people are only doing the white belt version of the kata. There are other levels. Your ability should change. So it's not that the kata changes, but the way you perform the kata should change. Okay? So please, if you have any questions, I can always be reached through Facebook on the IWK Facebook page. I can also be reached through the IWK webpage via email. If you have any questions, comments, feel free to reach out for me. All right, thanks again for watching.